Hello, you're listening to Tangents and Tomes, a podcast where two old friends get together to read, review, and rant about books. If you're driving while listening, keep your eyes on the road. Otherwise, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
What's up?
I woke up in a panic at like 8 this morning. Yeah, 8:30. Just way too stoked.
For this?
Yes. So then I just stayed awake. And then I finally was tired enough to take a nap. And I did it at the most inopportune time. And I slept for like 3 hours from 1 o'clock till 4.
Yeah. Guys, Kalinda missed our meeting. We were supposed to do this, 2.5 hours ago.
Oh, it's fine. We weren't ready until like an hour ago.
Yeah,
really
didn't. Ready. So Kalinda napped, and I didn't finish reading the content that we were going to be talking about until like an hour later than we were meant to.
Because today we're going to be talking about this book that we're both reading, Shadow and Bone. We've just read chapters 1 through 11.
Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, part of the first book in the Grisha Trilogy.
No, okay.
No. Do you want the ISBN number too?
Do you know it? Because that would be real good.
No,
right now.
We have ebooks.
Oh, it's true, we do. Okay. What were we talking about? Where were we? Trilogy.
We are
Grisha Trilogy. Part of the Grisha Trilogy.
First thoughts.
So, no spoilers.
Just initial impressions.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Me too.
I also sort of get this weird feeling that I have no idea what the fuck is going on. Because I don't totally understand some of... There's a lot of military and terms that I don't get yet.
You mean like the names and the hierarchy and stuff, the world building stuff?
The hierarchy. The hierarchy, I'm thrown into it, and I really appreciate that. I love books that just give you... that just throw you in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no idea entirely how it works at the very top.
Even yet?
I'm starting to get some of it. No, I think I do. I think, but it's good. I like it.
Yeah, I'm liking it. Although for like the first 10 pages, not just for the first 10 pages, I take back that statement.
Okay.
Just generally overall. The dialogue is really bad, but the world building is really good.
Yeah.
Like, I feel no attachment to these characters. I don't know who they are, and our protagonist has a big Mary Sue issue, but I mean, I'm still like really interested in what's gonna happen because
I'm such a sucker.
It's also interesting, and the kind of like this Tsarist Russia vibe is super cool and fun, and I love the idea of them all wearing these robes and them having like mellow magic that is super cool.
I'm so glad.
And theoretical.
I'm so glad we're on the same Russia vibes.
Yeah.
I was worried that it was just going to be just me. You studied a lot more.
It's not a secret that it's set in a hypothetical Russia.
No, I didn't.
The cover literally has those bulbous... I should know the title of those things, or the name of those things. Those bulbous roof structures that Russia is famous for.
Yeah.
I mean, the king is literally called Tsar.
Yeah. You've also studied a lot more literature than I have, and so I'm excited for some of your... I might need some help if there's like any fictional or... fairy tale ties for Russian folktales or anything. I'm real curious if there's any of that, but I would not know.
I'm not like super well versed in Russian fairy tale, although actually there is a book I want to read called like The Bear and the Nightingale that is apparently based on a Russian folktale, and that looks super good. But this one seems more like it's attached to historical Russia.
Okay.
And to me, it's giving me Tsarist Russia coming into the revolution vibes. Especially because that the king's priest, the apparat, or whatever his name is, or title, he makes me really think Rasputin. That man is Rasputin. That's all I could think of. Even though that's completely unfair. Literally. Just because he's Russian and a priest doesn't mean he's Rasputin. And you could have a figure like that in an English setting, and I wouldn't think that he was like Rasputin, but...
Yeah.
I mean, the long beard and just the way they describe it makes me think Rasputin.
Okay.
Are we getting into spoilers?
No, I don't think that was really a spoiler. Are we ready,
think
Are we ready
it was
for spoilers?
Out there with spoilers. But if we're trying to keep it non-spoilery, yeah.
I'm ready. I am totally ready to dive into.
Okay, I'm just trying to think if I had anything else to say that wasn't spoilery. Dialogue is not so great. I don't feel great about the characters, and Alina, everything she says just kind of makes me want to eye roll because it feels like stuff I've read before. It's pretty contrived, and also, like, the first pages or so, the first, 3 pages, I was like, I can't imagine people having this discussion or this kind of banter back and forth in, 19th century Russia. Because I know it doesn't take place in Russia. It takes place in Ravka, because it's a hypothetical thing, but they've got crossbows and taverns and horse-drawn carriages and crap, and it's like, I feel like this kind of banter doesn't happen. Yeah, rifles existed in that time.
Okay. Whatever, my history is poor. Okay, general consensus, we've only read 11 chapters. We have not finished this book. We're liking it so far. It has its faults. Okay, cool. Now,
but it's also Leigh Bardugo's first novel, so there's a lot of things I'm willing to forgive. Especially that, the world building is super exciting.
All right, we're ready. We're ready to dive into spoilers. Spoilers
this is
ahead.
The cutoff mark.
This is where you will get all of our theories, our
feels, our
theories and our feels. And as we dive right in here to the spoiler section. Okay, first of all, can we just talk about the "he kissed my palms" moment?
Wait, what?
Okay, there's
I don't remember this moment.
Where he's like, "Why do you always do that with your hand?" Because she always.
Did he really kiss her palm?
No, he didn't kiss it, but he did take her palm and then was rubbing his thumb along her scar. And all I could think of was that moment in Lend Me a Tenor, where she's just he kissed my palms. I couldn't do it. It was just what is this? What the fuck? He's a lord. Stop flirting with a lord.
He's not a lord.
I know. He's not a lord.
Guess actually, I guess that is how it works. Grisha are basically
because the Darkling isn't he's a king. He's not he's the king of the Grisha. It's he rules. He hierarchically is above everyone else in the Grisha, but he also still answers to the king of Ravka. So I'm
well, because it's complicated because usually monarchies or empires like that would be completely dictated by bloodline. But the Grisha are a part of a royal court that don't have any kind of determination based on who their parents are.
Yeah.
So it is kind of hard to give an equivalent, because the Grisha are basically just stuffed right into a typical Tsarist Russia idea, and they're completely alien. There's no equivalent. I can't think of anything.
So they have this weird sort of floating limbo thing where physically they I know they call it a science or whatever that they study, but it does feel like they have magic powers, so they sort of have this special thing, but that they're above a whole in one sense, but they're not. They're technically also subservient to the king.
Well, of course.
And so there's Yeah. So there's that thing too that I find really interesting, and it makes me hard. It makes me hard. It makes me real fucking hard. It makes it hard for me to figure out like where the Darkling. What is he? Is he a lord? Is he a king? Because I
think lord is a safe kind of. Because
as I was typing my notes, I was like, "Girl, stop flirting with the king! Oh my god!" And then I was like, "Okay, but he's not a king, because there's an actual king."
Yeah.
And I was like, "How do I edit this to be accurate?" I was like, "Fuck, I don't understand how this works yet."
Well, the thing is, so I'm also thinking that, like, the palm thing it's not that weird, really, but it can, like, unnerve you if it's happening to you. Like, I'm having many thoughts right now, because I'm also thinking, like, he's 120 years old.
I know. Okay, so this is just Edward and Bella all over again. I know. Like, let's be honest.
I mean, in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways not. And I think I kind of have a bit of a sense of where we're headed because of things I've heard other fans say who have read it. I mean, I don't know for sure anything, right? Yeah. I don't know anything. But basically, I do think that, like, it doesn't feel like Edward and Bella. Because I feel like Edward didn't have a conception of how old he was. He was, like, 17, and then he never stopped.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the Darkling, he is aging. Yeah. But I kind of get the feeling that we're going to get to a point where the Darkling starts to point out that, like, he's been alive for so long that he kind of forgets what, like, living is about and stuff. You know?
Yeah, but he also...
Because that's more what I'm getting from it. Because he does feel old to me.
Yeah.
He does feel like he's experienced and wise from experience, right? But
which is why some of their interactions to me feel so weird.
I know, because they're like, close, but also you're like, he's an old man.
I know, but he's so... And there are so many things where I'm like, I don't think he talks to anyone else like this. I really...
Yeah.
And so, okay, with the Darkling color, like, wanting to make her...
Black?
Her robes black and all of that. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for him to sort of, like... Yeah, I don't think there are a lot of other people that talk to him the way she talks to him.
But I think it's also because he invites her to do that as well, because he's like, I'm the only one of my kind, and you're the only one of your kind, and even though we're not the same
now
kind,
be my bride.
Yeah. Shut up.
That's what I'm waiting for. that's really where I feel this is going. It's like, lead the Grisha with me. I feel that you're the only one who understands me.
Well, I don't think that because there's still a lot of disparate parts to them, right? Because he's old. But the other thing about their age is that, like, sometimes he feels like an old man, and then sometimes I can kind of get that, like, you know, if he doesn't feel like he's really been experiencing life, like, he's wise as a counselor and as a politician or a governor or whatever he has to be, but that, like, that whole side of life is not something, is still something that he's technically young in, then I can kind of be okay with it. I don't know. Yeah. It's not the same. It doesn't feel the same as Edward and Bella.
No, it doesn't. But there are some moments where I'm like, aren't you afraid of me?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think of that. All I can think about is, like, he's as old as Dumbledore. Can you imagine?
Shit. Oh, shit. Shit. Oh, my God.
I mean...
Could you imagine?
Okay. Stop imagining.
Okay, I'm stopping. Thank you for letting me stop.
Take it back.
Take it back. Okay. So world map. I love books with world maps.
Okay.
So A+.
Yeah.
That I had made a note about that to myself.
I'm gonna take a look at it right now. I mean, I have seen it, but
do you have some thoughts?
on the map?
No, I was just thinking at the beginning of the book. I was convinced, I swear, like, chapter 1, when they're first marching toward the fold. Okay, I watched too much anime. But I had this total Attack on Titan vibe, and I was like, Mal is gonna die. I was convinced Mal was gonna die. Like, chapter 1.
Chapter 1.
And then
honestly,
chapter 2 happened.
I've been
I
thinking
thought he was gonna be dead.
Maybe it would have been better if he did die. Just plot-wise. Even though,
honestly, maybe it's better if he did die.
Yeah. Maybe they should just all die. And then they'll be happier when they're dead. I'm just thinking that, like, I've read this story before. Like, this setup of a dynamic. Obviously each one, hopefully it's going to be different than what I'm thinking of. But I read this book called The Witch Hunter by Virginia Baker. And it was pretty good, but it has a similar kind of feeling. It takes place in, like, an imaginary England where witches are a thing, and this one girl has been trained her whole life to basically purge the world of witches, and she works with, like, a team of other people, and they've been training for a long time. And so one of the people that she trains with is somebody that she's known her entire life. It's a guy, and she kind of has the hots for this guy, and they're really close and bonded. And then, like, she's discovered with basically, like, witch paraphernalia. But it's because it's because she's caught the eye of the king, and so she just basically needs to keep herself from getting pregnant. And so that's all this stuff is, but technically it's the type of stuff witches do. So she's caught with it, and then they want to, like, kill. I forget exactly what happens, but basically her childhood friend, this guy, he turns out to not be great. Not just because of this moment or whatever, but that's just the plot of the thing, right? But then she meets somebody else, and then he's the love interest, but there's still kind of, like, this childhood attachment and connection with this guy that she's crushing on from her childhood. And so I feel like I've read this before, where, like, once this main character starts to get involved in this whole new world, then everything that bonded her with this other guy from her previous life starts to flip on its head, and then we start to make it ugly, and we don't like that old guy, and I'm like, Mal seems like an okay guy, and I don't want him to turn into the villain, you know? I don't want him to, like, not be responding to her letters because he thinks that she's evil now, or that, you know, he's gonna try and bust her out of there and get in trouble. Or anything like that. I don't want that to happen.
I know. Mal's character is interesting. So I've been assuming that the scar that's on her palm is from, like,
blood bond.
Is from a blood bond.
Yeah.
That was also my assumption. And
it most definitely is.
My guess is too that there's something to do with their blood bond that is affecting her ability to, like, actually
do her magic. That kind of makes sense. I didn't think of that because it did seem clear to me that there is something inhibiting her from doing her magic, and I was just thinking that maybe it was, like, her own fear or her affection for Mal was making it so that, like, she subconsciously knew that she had to subdue that instinct, and that, like, that her affection for Mal was what was keeping her from being able to execute the magic.
But I've been wondering if it was something to do with their blood bond. But also she seemed, but she's always described, even before, I'm sure, their blood bond,
as skinny and sickly.
As skinny and sickly. And I feel like that also must have something to do with the fact that she's not
able to do her magic. Yeah, because that's why...
Which will rejuvenate her.
It almost only just occurred to me that that's why, like, I knew that was why she looked sickly and pale, but then it was like, oh my god, that's why the Grisha always look so beautiful, is because they're practicing their magic and it's making them healthy.
Yeah.
And, like, the fact that she's not practicing her magic, that's why she's always unhealthy and weak and can't do anything well.
Yeah. And she knows it.
Yeah.
I
love it when they're, like, taking her out of the tent, and she's like, no, there's a big mistake. I'm a map maker. I'm not even a good map maker.
There are some lines that she has that I love so much. Like with the fucking, Nadia and Maria, right, are having that whole thing, and the guy walks by, Sergio or whatever.
Sergey.
I don't remember his name. I imagine Sergio. And you know, he makes the comment that Suli is a dead language in Shu.
Yeah.
And, you know, says it and says that he just said it in Shu. And then Nadia's like, that's Shu. It's like,
that's Sergey. He's studying Shu. And then she's like,
I got that. It's my... I love that line. Because she has lines where she just goes, like, yeah, I know. Or like, I got that.
Well, there's so much of it, though, where, like,
that I think is so funny.
It's kind of hard because, like, I feel like it's a kind of a modern idea to think they're not stupid, they just don't know. Like, they're not stupid just because they don't know things that they have no way of knowing, right?
Yeah.
But there are some times, especially because it takes place in, like, a hypothetical 200 years ago type of scenario, or 100, depends on, you know, how well you know history, that, like, there was this part where Ivan and Fedyor were trying to talk to her, and they're like, the Darkling is a living amplifier. And then she's like, what the fuck is an amplifier? And then they glance at each other, and I'm just thinking, they're looking at each other like, this girl.
And she just goes, forget it.
Yeah.
All the time she's just like, screw it.
Idiot.
I love when she was talking to Genya. I've been saying Genya.
Yeah, me too.
And just goes, like, get out. I love it. I love it so much. She's used to, I find her character interesting, I think, because at least, like, I mean, this is so many chapters into the book, I started really feeling like I was understanding her background, like what it must have been like only having when she got the ropes, when she got the Grisha ropes, because before then she was an orphan, only ever wearing hand-me-downs, and then in the army where she had uniform that was standard issued to her, and I couldn't imagine, you know, what it was like to live my entire life with, like, so few possessions, even that, like, even the clothes that I owned did not reflect me as a person. To get something like that. I thought that I felt like I started to understand her character a little bit, and I was like I feel like I get her a little bit now in that moment. But, you know, that's how many chapters into the book before I got there. But I really liked that moment.
So, Zoya.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we had at the very end of our chapter segments, we had a bit of a scene with her, but even before that, right, obviously we recognized her from before going to the fold.
The carriage.
Yeah. For me, there's this moment where she's brought before the Darkling, and they're all like, she fucking exploded into a ball of light, and she's like, lol, you're crazy. And then, like, but she's presented in front of the court, right? And then there's a bunch of Grisha who are looking at her, and then she recognizes Zoya, doesn't know that that's her name, but it's her. Yeah. And Zoya, like, giggles, or, like, looks at the way she's dressed and laughs and whispers to her friend something. And I am literally like, girl, she just went into battle. She just saw people die. Who gives a shit what she looks like? She's probably covered in blood. How can you just laugh at somebody who watched their colleague die?
Yeah.
That's effed up.
Oh, God. When she got so pissed at that other cartographer.
At her boss man?
Yeah.
Her
I
teacher?
thought that was so good.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, the other thing is, like, I was so aware of that scene just as it's constructed, because I'm just thinking, like, this is the Darkling. Like, I was looking at that scene through the Darkling's eyes.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, that was probably really important for the Darkling to hear her say.
Yeah.
But also, like, traumatizing. When that was happening, I was like, oh my god, this is like the Odyssey. When, you know, the monster, like, starts picking off men from Odysseus's ship, and you're just, like, horrified.
It's like, oh god. And it's dark. It's just utter...
Also, when the Darkling slices that guy in half...
Oh, shit, yeah.
I was literally, like, the thing is, because it was on her, and then it just falls forward, I was like, no, it's too gross.
Yeah. I watch too much anime.
Oh, God. Anime is the worst.
Those scenes, in and of themselves, like, I could kind of picture, but even still, they didn't gross me out that much, but yeah... Like, having a dead man fall on top of you. I mean, I can't.
His knees were on her shoulders. That means that his torso fell on her face.
Oh, God. I didn't realize the knee thing. I didn't fully understand where he was positioned on her chest. Yeah. I read those things too quickly. I read action scenes.
It was, well, whenever it's shit like that happens, I always have to reread because I hate myself, I guess.
Oh, random little tidbit. Do you remember the Lord Song team where they were like, send the call out, send the call out?
Sort of.
Right? There's that part of the song. I keep thinking of, because the orphanage that she was from is Karamzin?
Yeah.
And so I keep being like, the Karamzin, the Karamzin, the Karamzin. I therefore had that song because I had managed to think of that connection stuck in my head all day yesterday.
Sorry. What did you just do? I just reread the line where he falls on her.
Oh, why would you do that to yourself?
Because it's in my notes, okay?
Oh, God. That's awful.
Okay, so...
Tell me more notes.
Alright, so a lot of words are Russian-based words, and they'll be italicized in the text. You know, usually it's just like, whatever. But sometimes I read the italics like snide, pointed remarks. So, like... when she decides that she wants to have blue robes instead of black ones.
Yeah.
And the Darkling is like, okay, your kefta will be blue. The thing is, kefta is italicized, and I was just like, your kefta will be blue. Like, he's being some cynical and sarcastic. Yeah.
See, I really enjoy their interactions.
Yeah, I did too, actually. More than I thought I would, given the fact that I wasn't happy with the dynamic between Mal and Alina.
Yeah.
At least, I mean, Mal, honestly, I don't know how to pronounce her name.
Alina?
Well, I mean, that's what we're working with, but, I mean, it could be Alina, it could be...
I know.
Let's see.
I've just been saying Alina.
It could be, like, Alina.
I know. There was another name where I felt like that. Oh, there are some of the name, like, the italicized words where I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't know. There are too many consonants right here in the middle, and so I don't know where the emphasis goes in this word. Oh, it's so good.
Okay, so for literary references, first page, where it talks about how, like, the servants called them little ghosts. And then it says that, like, they would huddle in the kitchen cupboard and listen to the grown-ups gossip.
Yeah.
She heard the Duke's housekeeper say, she's an ugly little thing. No child should look like that. Pale and sour like a glass of milk that's turned. That, like, those two sentences, for me, were like, this reminds me of Wuthering Heights, this reminds me of The Secret Garden, and it reminds me of Dr. Zhivago. And I bet you it reminds me of another thing, but I can't even remember right now. Because, like, in Wuthering Heights, Heathcliff and Catherine would just chill in the kitchen cupboard, I think, because they were supposed to be in timeout, but they were like, we prefer it here. So they just chill and hang out in there when they're kids.
Dorks.
And then in the secret garden, she's also supposed to be, like, when she arrives, she's kind of yellowed and gross looking because she's not healthy, is the point.
Yeah.
And then the Dr. Zhivago one is probably just because Dr. Zhivago is Russian. But Dr. Zhivago also grows up in a house. I think that he's like the adopted cousin, and then his cousin and him are like the same age, and they grow up together in this one place, and they get married, but they're like inseparable. They're like best friends when they're younger. So that also reminds me of that.
I just like choked on my own spit. That was good.
Oh my god, you're so elegant. What a lady.
Oh, what a lady. Oh my god. Okay, Mr. Rasputin.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he creeps me the fuck out.
What the fuck? What the fuck? What? Okay, what? Why can he manage to walk around and, like, no one notices him?
Okay, the thing is, if it weren't for the fact...
is he undead? Is he undead? Is that why he smells like a tomb? Like, what is going on?
If it weren't for the fact that Alina asks the Darkling about him, and then the Darkling actually responds with an answer, I would think that he was, like, a phantom.
Yeah.
Because...
that she's the only one who could see him or something.
Yeah. I just think that's part of, like, the Rasputin vibe, because that is something... I don't know how much you know about Rasputin.
This is not...
Well, he was, like, a funky man.
Funky.
Depends on, like, apparently there are, like, multiple sides to this, but, like, the thing is, Rasputin was, like, a religious man that became a close counselor to the Tsar, and especially his wife, because he was the only one who seemed to be able to help their son with his hemophilia. And so, like, he got in good with the royal family, and everyone was like, who is this guy? He's, you know, making a puppet out of our Tsar. And so people didn't like Rasputin. Apparently he was, like, a really enigmatic magic man, basically. People tried to kill him, like, 5 times over, because he wouldn't die.
Faith.
Yeah. Exactly. So, like, the idea of him smelling like a tomb, I mean, I feel like a lot of people will say Rasputin was kind of like, there was something weird about him.
Yeah.
And it kind of like that. And also that animated film, Anastasia.
Yeah, I mean, that's really dead. All I know. He's literally... I know, so I'm like, he smells like mildew? Is he literally just dead? Is he a zombie? Are we now gonna also have zombies?
No, I don't
think so. Is this the kind of story we're in for?
I don't know. At first, I honestly thought that he was gonna be kind of like a witch demonizer. You know? Like, that he was gonna be like, all the Grisha are witches, and this new chick on the block is gonna be the witchiest witch of them all, and I must destroy her.
Yeah, and somehow, instead, he's, like,
worshipping her.
Being like, you're a saint.
Yeah.
You're the new come saint.
So I'm kind of feeling like...
bring the light.
I'm hoping that he's going to be, like, the figure that kind of acts like the ghost in what, like, you were talking about when we saw Crimson Peak, and that line that stuck with you was it's not a ghost story, it's a story with ghosts in it. And then the ghosts weren't actually part of the plot, but they just featured as a way for the main character to either get information or as an obstacle that it was a metaphor, right?
Yeah.
And it didn't actually affect the story. And I'm thinking that this guy, or I'm hoping that this guy won't be some evil guy, really. Because I think that would be a cop-out. I want him to just be creepy without being evil, you know?
I'm
and he seems almost prophetic, you know?
Yeah.
So I kind of want him to be the ominous figure who... I don't know.
Yeah, I'm worried that he's gonna be evil, but in the love kind of way rather than in the hate. You know, like
he's gonna end up fueling all that fanaticism and making problems.
Just that he's like, creepily obsessed.
Faith.
Faith.
I don't know.
I hate it. I don't like him at all.
I don't know. Because I also feel like if you really think that someone's there, that you've found someone who's basically Jesus, but they don't know that they're Jesus.
Yeah.
Some of what he's doing, I can kind of feel like, you know, he's reaching out a hand to be like, you know, Jesus needs help. So, especially if Jesus is feeling self-doubt, right? Yeah. So in a lot of ways, what he's...
You will suffer more.
Yeah, if he's saying, if he really feels like she could be in trouble, then, and he's just extending a hand for like, I want to play my part in the battle that you will have to overcome, and I can foretell that it will be a hard one, right? So like...
Yeah. I would love it so much if it turns out that he's helpful and not just terrifying.
I mean, I don't really think that, you know, she's gonna ever trust him, but it would, for me, it feels like if he's saying all these prophetic things and then they turn out to give her kind of like the reassurance or like make things connect for her later on at a pivotal moment, then that will be him having helped, you know.
Yeah, I would love it if she read that
Saint book and then it became like helpful.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah.
But he also needs to back the fuck off.
Yeah, he needs to get some personal space.
'Cause boy, you smell like mildew.
Tombs.
You smell gross. Get out.
Oh, okay, so the Darkling symbol is supposed to be 2 overlaid circles, like an eclipse. Right. And I can't tell if that is a Venn diagram or one small circle inside a larger circle.
I thought it was a small circle inside a larger circle.
Then why would you say it's 2 overlaid circles? You would just say it's 2 circles, one inside the other.
Maybe then it is like Venn diagram, but one's a little bit smaller and almost covering an almost eclipse. I'm trying to do the thing with,
but it's supposed to be
with
like
my hands. I'm sorry, listeners, you can't see.
But it's like it's supposed to be something you can etch into something, so it can't be two-toned, you know.
Oh no, so
that
I wasn't.
Kind of no. I know you weren't suggesting that, but I feel like I would two-tone something like that. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the hell it's supposed to be. That's weird. So I didn't like Maria and Nadia.
Of course not. Who does? What the fuck?
I feel like I'm starting to like them a little bit more now that they also don't like Zoya.
Yeah.
So that there's, you know,
some sorority.
Yeah.
Sorority there.
I love, you know, making friends because you have the same enemies. There's some of those, but I love Genya.
Yeah.
I think she's really great.
She's cool.
I'm her. I got the ginger hair, and she likes that David boy.
She don't have ginger hair. Her hair is auburn.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. Whatever.
You better be.
But she likes Mr. David.
Okay,
boy.
yes, I thought that was so cool because I mean not cool, but like I was like as soon as she said David, I was like, oh. But then he became, like, stringy and gross and nerdy or whatever, and I was like, but I still kind of, like, think that's cute as fuck, so. I want that to happen. And I love the way she's
that's
like,
literally me.
Goodbye, David, and then he just doesn't pay attention. And I love how Genya, she's into him, but she's also, like, tired of his failings, you know? It's kind of like, I mean, I love him, but he does annoying things that just make life difficult for me.
So me and my significant other.
We should give your significant other a nickname.
I know, because I have a feeling I'm gonna slip up and just say his name like 20 times.
See, what can we call him?
Well, the Gremlin.
Alright, that works. Who lives in caves for most of the year?
Who doesn't see sunlight? Bats.
Vampires. Oh, Did you see that post online that was basically somebody saying, like, oh, it was something that was like...
Hashtag, did you see that post online?
If I can remember it. That it was basically something that was like, telling people to wake up with the dawn or something like that is racist against werewolves. Support your nocturnal friends or something like that. And then underneath it somebody said that, like, this is blatantly discriminatory towards vampires, like, because they are also nocturnal.
Yeah.
Or that, like,
and didn't mention
it's not intersectional because it didn't mention vampires. And then underneath, I think the first person responded something like, bite me. Basically, they were saying something derisive about vampires.
How could they?
It was a good one, and I did a great job describing it.
Thank you.
I think it's much better if you just see it. Like hashtag, most internet things.
Did you see that thing online?
Yeah.
This has been the segment, hashtag, did you see that thing online?
Let's see, do I have anything else to say? Like, I didn't write anything else, but I feel like there's a lot more to talk about because it's just so
I know.
Fun.
I said the Karamzin joke. He kissed my palms.
He didn't, though.
I know. But that's what I thought of the whole time. Because he's like stroking her palm while talking to her about, you know, the guy that she's in love with.
Well, she didn't mention Mal.
No, but
she's thinking about it. Oh, yeah.
No, he talks to her
all right,
about
fine.
Mal.
Even though I read it like 2 hours ago, I forgot, okay?
That scene, I guess, just really stuck with me.
It was an idea that made you like it.
And I also thought it was weird. I also thought it was this kind of like...
Or you disliked it so much that also made you...
Shut up.
Made it stand out to you.
Yeah, it was a bit of both. It's one of those scenes where I don't know if I like it or if I don't like it, because I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck are you doing? Just to the Darkling, basically being like, what are you doing?
Boy.
Why?
Boy.
Stop flirting. Pretty much any scene where they're flirting, I'm like, stop.
They don't. If anything, that was probably the most it got, but I didn't ever think that they were flirting.
I thought
but
that
I
she
do
was
think
flirting,
that he's putting
like,
a lot...
scene one.
I thought that he is putting a lot of investment into hoping that, you know, they can have a connection. Clearly it's important to him because who else could he be connected to?
It was the horse riding scene.
Oh yeah, with the nape of the neck.
Yeah, well, even just before then, just the way that she says so you do make mistakes. And I was like, girl, stop flirting.
That wasn't, well, not for her. Like, she probably didn't realize it when she said it, you know, but then it did sound kind of like that to him. Like, or not to him, but like, funny that it satisfied both. Like, being serious and being flirty, because she meant it seriously. I don't ever think of them flirting. So anyway. Well, also, you know how I am about the flirting.
Yeah.
And that I don't. Or that I can't recognize it when it's happening.
Yeah, I guess I also have this, like, this feeling where I'm not sure if the things that I think are them flirting are actually just, like, him caring about her as, like, a paternal figure. You know, I'm still not. I flip back and forth between being like, so he likes her, or so he just, you know, wants to protect her, like he feels like she's little small baby.
I don't think that.
Yeah.
I mean, she kind of demonstrated that when she was like...
So you only look like a mouse.
Well, no. Or, yeah, that too. I don't think that it's parental. It might be mentor-y, but I definitely think that he's eager to find an equal.
Yes.
So he wouldn't patronize her.
I agree.
So I think that that's kind of... And I I think it's really also important for me, like, all the Grisha drama and stuff that's going on in the court.
Bullshit.
Like, for her, bullshit. It does kind of matter to them, right? But for her, when we're seeing it through her eyes, all I can think is, like, you literally divide yourself in there when, like, your life is so different from everything that she's ever experienced. Like, for her, on the outside, she just thinks, Grisha. But then when she actually has to walk inside, she sees all the divisions, and you're just like, compared to all the other people who live in Ravka, they are so similar. And so, like, I think for her, especially for her as, like, somebody who's always thought of the Grisha as this really powerful set of beings, that, like, it is fair. I like what she said to the Darkling when he was like, you just expect the worst or something.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, I mean, you have a lot of power, okay? It's not totally off the table that you could do something mean to me.
It is, you know, it's an old habit.
Yeah.
Rubs palms.
Shut up.
She rubs her thumb on her palm. Okay, how do you rub your thumb on your palm? I imagine it has to be two hands. Because I kept trying to imagine it as, like, how do you do one hand?
I mean, that's what I did the first time. But, I mean, if you make it a habit, you could probably stretch your joints pretty well. Oh, God.
That sounds so hard.
But what do you think would be more noticed by a third party? Two hands or doing one hand?
Probably two hands.
Yeah.
My assumption was that it was two hands. There was no other way. I'm miming it for all those podcast listeners.
For those visually impaired.
Now you know what it looks like to rub your palm, podcast listeners. Hope you like that. Do you have any ideas as to where this is going?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I don't think I have many theories as to how this book is going to end.
Okay, I guess I don't think I know who the ultimate big bad is going to be.
The ultimate big bad.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's also a trilogy, so there's got to be a thing that will lead up in 3 books
to another thing,
right? So there's going to be the 3-book arc climax, but then this book also needs a climax. And we don't have, like, an evil villain. We have sort of a corrupt system, and so it could be that we end up having battle and climax over. and then just also, you know, the Fold.
Yeah. As a general thing that's tearing, literally, the nation apart.
Well, the Fold... What do you think the Fold is?
What do you mean? It's growing. So that's why I think of it as tearing.
Oh, yeah. I, for one hot second, thought that the Fold was the Unsea.
It is.
Yeah, but the Unsea... Wait, is the Unsea growing?
Yes.
But I mean, it needs more water to fill it.
If it doesn't have water. It's not, because it's not a sea. It's sand. That's why there are sand skiffs.
Weird.
That's why it's an unsea, and that's why it's a dry dock.
I didn't know that.
They call it the unsea. Maybe because you can't see in it.
Well, on the... No, on the map.
Yeah.
On the map, it looks like water.
Oh,
it's in the color that they did the true sea. So that's just why I thought that automatically, but fair, fine, I guess. Oh, and clearly Sabaya is Siberia.
Yeah.
Because they're like, maybe he'll send him to Sabaya as, like, the worst thing that could happen to you. I don't know, I kind of feel like...
No more thoughts.
Defeating the Unsea is gonna be... It's either gonna be the big thing, or, like, No, she's not strong enough.
No,
I don't know. I feel
been
like
fighting it for generations, plural.
And I'm just kind of
his great or whatever. And how long is he alive already?
Yeah, but her power. I'm mostly thinking how strong her power has to be able to overcome it.
Well, first she has to not faint.
Yeah. And I'm also thinking that,
be able to use it, period.
Probably the issues with the corrupt system is going to be, like, a thing. But honestly, I always get so tired of that. That takes forever, and it's too real. I mean, Hunger Games was a bit like that. You want to topple an entire system of thought and culture and government because it's corrupt, and it's like, I get it, but also, like...
That's exhausting.
That's exhausting. I'd rather take on Voldemort.
Whoa. High order.
Well, just because, out of preference, because Voldemort is a person who embodies something that's shitty, but it's not like... Yeah. And, like, Harry Potter, the books, acknowledge that...
Of course we come to Harry Potter. How could we have gone through a podcast without somehow mentioning Harry Potter?
I mean, honestly, I don't even know how I didn't see this coming.
I'm surprised we got this far.
I know. We made it like a full hour. But in Harry Potter, they acknowledge that the Wizarding World, the system of government of the Wizarding World, and the culture they're in, has its flaws. And it's one of the reasons why Voldemort was able to come to power, is because of all the things that are wrong about that system. Yeah. But in 7 whole books, it doesn't attempt to rework that entire system.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's one of the reasons why we get to see Harry become an Auror instead, is because that's kind of his way to kind of get involved and help make the system slightly better in any way he can. Because...
I mean, have you seen Hamilton? Do you realize how hard it is to set up a whole system of government?
And they didn't have to do it on common soil. That's like a big, important factor about the American Revolution versus every other freaking revolution.
Yeah.
And even as we're talking about this, you know how scary the Russian Revolution was? And how, like, problematic that whole thing was?
I mean, no, because I don't know things.
Well, because the thing is that they decided to have a revolution in between the 2 world wars.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then also, like, I mean, Russia is so big.
It is.
And they were interested in communism.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, like, exactly what we're talking about, where, like, you try to overthrow an entire system and then create a perfect one. And it's like, it doesn't happen like that. That's exactly what communism taught us. And so, like, trying to it has to happen in a free economic market, and democracies are okay. I think there's some kind of quote that was something like the only government that's worse than a democracy is every other system of government. Basically that, like, it sucks, but, you know, everything else is shit.
Yeah.
Anyways, so, like, so yeah, that, like, it, you know, it's sometimes, you know, it's just more helpful to think of things as being like you can slowly chip away at something that's not great to make it better, rather than try to destroy the thing that you've been working on for 200 years.
Yeah.
And just whip, bam, boom, create one that's better.
And whip, bam, boom, we're done.
Like, it's that easy.
And it's because it's that easy. And we're done. Whip, bam, boom. Okay. So, when I stopped, the last page of chapter 11 was... Because I can see 2 pages at a time in the thing that I use. So the first page of chapter 12 was there. So I skimmed it, because I couldn't help myself. I didn't read anymore. I just was like, let's just tease ourselves.
Well,
and see how chapter 12 starts.
I mean, I think...
And then, you know, I hated myself.
It starts with, like, Zoya, right? Or something about her. Because I just looked at it, and Zoya's name is mentioned in it. But the thing that Zoya did...
Oh.
It just doesn't make any sense. You'd think she had more control. And, of course, like, people like Zoya don't exist. Because...
Yeah. They're not real.
No, because you get people start to find out. You can't be Bodkin's favorite student and pull shit like that. She had to know exactly what she was doing. Don't tell me that she never... I mean, if she did that to Elena just because she lost her cool and broke the rules, she must have done that when she was a student. Yeah. I find it hard to believe that...
This is the first time she's lost her cool like that.
Yeah, but the way Bodkin responded... It
would suggest otherwise.
Yeah. And so, like, you don't... Like, if you're that much of a heinous bitch to everyone... People start to realize, like, she was ever going to be the Darkling's favorite. I cannot imagine
with that
it.
Attitude. Yeah, people like her don't exist. It's not real.
But I do like the robes that they all wear. I kind of want to make my mom sew me one.
Dude, I would love one. Are you kidding? That sounds beautiful. And they're like fur-lined, too, to keep you nice and toasty. Yeah, I wouldn't want that. I know, I don't understand... Are they wearing
the robes indoors?
Yeah. Or do they like take off the outer layer for combat training? That's what I would imagine.
I imagine they were not wearing the robes when they were in combat training.
Yeah.
But I mean, to have it be fur lined, they are in Russia.
God, I love all of it. I want to know more. Wow. I'm ready
you love
to
all
know
of
more.
It? High praise.
Yeah, fucking high praise. Well, I also
have lower standards?
Probably.
I don't know. I've also
very
kind
likely.
of like become such a sourpuss about this because like there's so many books because like I really like YA, you know? It's where I sit comfortably and I get really fangirly and I love the stuff and I want to read more of it. But then there's so much of it where maybe I've just gotten to the point where I'm like, if you use tropes like this, I can't handle it. Like, I'm tired of this. I can't waste my life reading this shit over and over again if it's not good enough, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like, that's kind of how like, a sensation that I had while I was reading the opening pages of this, where I was like, I don't want this. This kind of boring dialogue that feels really contrived and fake. And unrealistic.
So when you're talking about the dialogue, are you very specifically talking about the before? Like before chapter 1 even?
There was no... What?
Chapter 1 is not them as children.
No, I'm talking mostly, like, chapter 1.
Okay.
When she's, like, with Mal.
When they're walking.
Pretty much all of her dialogue with Mal is annoying to me. Because I don't feel like their relationship is special. I think that she just sounds, in those bits, like a cynical, not like other girls, dry girl. And if she's always like that, I don't even want to be friends with her. Why would he want to hang out with her? They don't have a good dynamic. I don't know why they're still friends other than, like, that childhood bond, but that's not enough when you become a cynical bitch. Sorry. And, like, you refuse to get along with other people. I get that, like, she was saying that Ruby only befriended her because she was hoping to get to know Mal more because he's cute or whatever. But it's like, you can choose to start befriending people, even if that's the first reason they make friends with you. If that's the only reason they stay friends with you, that's one thing. But she has no friends! So
yeah, I mean, she's even sort of doing it now. She managed to befriend Genya.
Okay, and also, the fact that, like, the first person that she meets turns out to be somebody that she relates to and likes, and so on, that sounds fake. That's not real. It takes you, like, a month to figure out and find the person that you're going to connect with. If it's going to be one or more than one, you're lucky, right? But
yeah. Her character is interesting. And I agree that, like, her and Mal are...
They just don't have a connection anymore, it feels like.
Yeah. And I like that he remembered that he told her to meet her.
Yeah, I liked that bit. I just wish that, like, I could feel it when they talk. Because I don't want to doubt that it's there. But I don't like her.
Yeah.
And, like, all I'm getting from him is that he's a generally happy guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's nice, but I still don't get it. Like, who are they?
Yeah, when they were together as children, it was real easy to be, like...
Similar.
Or even as before the army or whatever. But I think some of it, too, he got gratification.
He got good at something and found a place for himself.
Yeah, and then found friends, too, where I feel... Yeah, I wonder, too, how much some of the way that he acts, at least around his friends, Mikhail and...
Dobrev.
Is, like, I'm wondering how much that is just...
For show?
Or going along with other people. That sort of, like, that pack friend mentality.
Yeah?
Where you're like, yeah, this could be fun. Sure, let's do it.
No, fine. I mean, I don't think that he's a jerk or anything.
No, I don't
think
either.
Mal's a cool character. I think she's a shit character.
Oh.
I mean, Mal, we barely see anything of him, but Elena, she's the protagonist. She should be more interesting than this. And the way they talk shouldn't be him being like, oh, you seem sad. Or like, cheer up. And then her being dry. Or like, I hate that whole like, I was starting to cheer up in spite of myself or whatever. I freaking can't take that. Stop writing that, people.
People, please stop writing that a character is smiling despite themselves.
Yeah, because people should not be determined to be grumpy. And I don't like people who are. And people who are, you know what? They're 14 years old and they have no life. And
whoa,
I don't want to read about them.
This is getting fired.
Because I lived it. So I'm done.
I lived that salty life. I'm done.
Yeah, I was literally just texting my friend saying something like, I hate when... I'm gonna find it. She said, the male lead was a tool, but I was also like, I hate how I identify with how pretentious you are, but I do. This was about some unnamed book. And then I responded, that's how I feel about a lot of characters. I'm like, I know exactly why you're doing that shitty thing, because that's exactly why I do that same shitty thing, and I can't forgive you for it, because I can't forgive myself. So, yeah, basically, and that happens in real life. When I do shitty things, and then I see other people doing those exact same shitty things, I'm like, I mean, I know exactly how that happens, and it's not a good enough reason, because I lived it. And I know that wasn't a good enough reason.
Oh, shit. Shots fired.
Or there's a lot of times when, like, writers want to make you forgive a character for doing something, and sometimes I will just be like, no, you are wrong in this moment. Or, like, when they try to tell you that, like, you know, somebody tells the protagonist, you owe me that much. Or, like, I have a right to know. Or something. And then the main character is like, you know, she was right. She does have a right. She was involved in whatever and has a stake in whatever. And I'm like, that's not true at all. You literally owe this person nothing. Yeah, they lost their brother, but you lost your brother and your mother and your father and your hand. So, you don't owe her shit. She's being mean to you. Clearly, it's a very specific reference.
Yeah.
But I just hate that. Because, like, especially when that character is being a downright dick. And then they pull that card. And it's like, honestly, in real life, you don't owe anybody anything. And nobody ever tries to pull that card. And if you do try to pull that card, like, even if you do believe that you are owed something, I mean, you just straight up don't.
Yeah.
There are plenty of times when, like, in a relationship or in a friendship, when something happens and I'm like, oh my god, you won't tell even me what's wrong? Like, that should matter in some way, but of course, I mean, it's their call. And you don't have a right to anything in another person's life. Thank you. So I hate when that card gets played in books because it's so unrealistic. And I mean, it's really tricky, especially in contemporaries, because authors will try to basically write a character who we're on their side, but then it comes to a head when they get in trouble and something goes wrong. We're understanding how they got there, and we've been sympathizing with them the whole time, and then we're told that something that they did was wrong, and then they're starting to apologize for it or whatever, but, like, it hasn't reached the line of wrong for me, and they try to tell me that it's wrong, and I'm like, no, they shouldn't have to apologize for that because of the situation and because of things or whatever, that, like, people shouldn't be getting this upset over it or something like that. So it's really hard for authors when they try to do that as a plot, because you have to ride this fine line where you make it clear why what they did is so bad, because plenty of the time I'm like, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. We haven't really had any of those moments yet, right?
What are you talking about?
In the book. In Shadow and Bone.
Well, Shadow and Bone is not a contemporary.
Never mind. Okay.
So it's probably not going to be about the minutia of relationships, which contemporaries usually are.
I was trying to figure out how we got here. I forgot.
Sorry. I'm irrelevant.
I was trying to tie it back together, and I'd forgotten how we got here. That was all. So, that's it, right?
I think so.
I think we're done. All right, this has been great. I'm glad we got to talk about chapters 1 through 11 and our lives and some other shit, because that's what we do. Nothing that we talk about fits a format. That's fine.
Yeah. So
we're friends. We've known each other for 9 years. Coming up on 10. Long time.
Long time.
Long time.
Long time. Well, I'm Ivy.
I'm Kalenda.
And that's our episode.
Woo!
Hope you liked our podcast.
Thanks for listening. Have a lovely day. Okay.
Catch us next week.
Every Wednesday. Okay. Bye. Bye.
You just couldn't leave it.
That's it for now. If you liked today's show, please give it a rating on iTunes or subscribe on YouTube. We'd really appreciate it. You can find us on Twitter and Tumblr at Tangents and Tomes, and if you have any questions, email us at tangentsandtomes@gmail.com.